Now, the ANC's efforts to win back the people's trust are continuing, this time in Tzaneen in Limpopo, where party President Cyril Ramaphosa is leading the Letsema campaign. Ramaphosa is expected to participate in a range of activities today, including a visit to the Hosi Mhlaba Royal Palace, a clean-up campaign and fixing of potholes. We've got our reporter Moloko Moloto, who is covering the story for us. Moloko, a very good morning to you. And the President, as I've just mentioned in my intro, continuing on his path to convince South Africans that the ANC is still the party to lead the nation. Tell us a little bit about today, the atmosphere and the tone. Are people looking forward to seeing the President?
Good morning, Rafiwa. Well, today is really the continuation of what we saw the president of the ANC, Cyril Ramaphosa, doing last week in the small farming town of Delmas in Mpumalanga province, where really he went on picking up rubbish out in the streets, going on even to assist in the patching of potholes. Of course, that did not go without criticism. South Africans really questioning why the president would really be patching a pothole on what they perceived to be a road that would require a complete overhauling. Of course, the president told us then that this is part of trying to engage ANC members and also members of the community to become volunteers. But of course, we cannot rule out the fact that the African National Congress will be going for its national conference in December to elect new leaders. And Ramaphosa surely is eyeing a second term. And also he said last week when in Delmas that he's also eyeing the 2024 general elections. Obviously, all these factors are happening in the context of a president who's facing a public backlash, the whole Phala scandal becoming or remaining a monkey on his back. And currently he is in a closed meeting with the senior traditional leader, and from here he will be going out in the community to do exactly what he did last week in Delmas, the patching of potholes, picking up rubbish here and there. And some people will say that's actually the job that ought to be done by the local authority. The local municipality is the one who ought to be taking the lead in that regard, Rafiwa.
Is there no criticism, Moloko, that it might be a little too late to see this kind of campaigning, in that the government has had over 2 decades to remedy the injustices of local communities, and it's only now where there's an active participation by the leadership of the National Party?
Well, the ANC itself, in its discussion, policy discussion documents, accepts actually that they have been losing electoral support over the years, and this, unless things change dramatically, is likely to continue. But importantly, Rafiwa, we should understand that the president, as I said, is someone who is trying to fend off a public backlash. He is being investigated by various institutions. The Hawks, South African Reserve Bank, is investigating him, but also the public protector is probing him. We have seen yesterday the High Court in the Western Cape, the full bench, really declaring that his decision to suspend Busisiwe Mkhwebane as the public protector was unlawful, and it's been set aside. So this is the man who has to save face, who has to be seen to be still a man of the people. Because, I mean, as matters stand, unless the president is seen to be going out to the people, the perception out there will be that he is running away. So clearly he doesn't want to be seen to be running away from the people. Of course, the parliamentary process is underway. The parliamentarians, particularly from the opposition, we saw them marching to the office of the public protector yesterday, demanding that she releases, that is the acting public protector, Advocate Xolesha, releases a preliminary report into the Phala scandal involving the president. So this is the man who has to save his image, who has to salvage his image. And the best way of doing that is to go out to the public, to members of the public, to kind of like test their mood and their perception. And of course, we have seen last week in Delmas, he was welcomed by chuffed locals who were excited to see him. So in that regard, you would say this public relations exercise is actually working in his favor. But of course, it is not enough to remove all the troubles that he faces as president of the country. But also internally in the ANC, we have heard last week another National Executive Committee member, Tony Yengeni, telling eNCA that he doesn't believe that Ramaphosa deserves a second term as ANC president. So the president later will be meeting with the branch members of the ANC, as he did last week in Mpumalanga. So that, as I said, is part and parcel of trying to create an image of the president who is among the people. We know also that the ANC in this northernmost province held a provincial executive committee meeting last week, and they have resolved that they support Ramaphosa for a second term as ANC president. They also pronounced that they support Paul Mashatile, the Treasurer General of the ANC, to become deputy president of the ANC in December. And the provincial chairperson of the ANC in this province, Stan Matabata, is supported to become national chairperson of the ANC. Of course, ultimately it will boil down to branches from all the various provinces of the ANC when they meet in December to decide who they want elected as leader of the ANC.
Very briefly, Moloko, that is a very important point that you've just made there at the end, who they want to lead the ANC. Earlier this week, we were supposed to see the preferred candidates being announced by the party. And of course, that has been... Oh, there's the president right now, Moloko. If your video journalist can just zoom in there so we can see him. That is the president, Cyril Ramaphosa, there making his way out of a meeting he's just had, Moloko. But while he engages community members there, Moloko, comment on the support across the provinces that the president has. He may have Limpopo, but are the other provinces in support of a second term?
Well, Rafiwa, publicly, some of the provinces, such as Mpumalanga, have already said, shortly after their provincial conference, they said that they actually want Ramaphosa to in the presidency of the ANC. We know that he enjoys support as well in the Cape. There he's got quite a notable support, but provinces such as the Northwest, while following their provincial committee meeting last week, they did not necessarily come out to say that he must become the president of the ANC again, saying that they actually would rather leave that decision to the branches of the ANC. However, the chairperson, Nonomaloi, saying that, look, we believe that the president has actually done a good job since becoming the party leader. So if up to so far, Rafiwa, it would appear that even in Gauteng, he possibly enjoys support there, but it might be early at this point in time because even the nominations of the ANC have not opened. You would recall that they were supposed to have opened on the 7th of this month, but due to the fact that there still need to be an audit of membership, it was postponed, possibly sometime this week. And I guess that's when we will begin to see, as branches begin to nominate those that they believe should become leaders, whether indeed it is indicating whether Ramaphosa will retain. But at this point in time, there doesn't seem to be somebody who is actively challenging him. Of course, we are aware that somebody like Lindiwe Sisulu has an interest in becoming the president of the party, but we have not really heard any structure, at least of the ANC, publicly pronouncing their support for her. So it's going to be determined by the opening of the nomination process of the ANC as to whether Ramaphosa indeed will retain his position as ANC president.